Hello, my name is Kevin Newman. I'm the historian for the Living Coast, and today we're going to take you on a fantastic journey across the best bit of Sussex's coastline. The Living Coast is technically the area between Newhaven here with the Ouse River all the way down to the Ada at Shoreham, and it goes all the way up to the Downs at Lewis. But today we're concentrating on this amazing coastline. We're going to take you to remote, craggy places like Castle Hill. We'll be ending up at Shoreham, and what a coast it is. There's wildlife, there's habitat, there's swimmers, there's people who make their living, but most of all, it's a coast that's always changing, and that's why it's called the Living Coast.
I can hear some robins singing just very nearby. I hear the odd warble of a wren, and every now and again you get a little trill from a meadow pipit. It's mostly robins. Most robins you can hear right now. This area of coastline is quite remarkable because you can be in the population centre and in about 10 minutes you're right out into a bit of wild countryside. We're on the Castle Hill Local Nature Reserve, but it's sitting just above Newhaven. Sitting up here you have the cliffs right below you and the ocean, but also right here you have such a large amount of scrub. That sort of mosaic of habitats just gives you such an abundance of wildlife. My favourite bird of all lives here, and I saw one earlier wheeling around called a fulmar, and they're a relative of the albatross. And at the moment they're returning from the ocean and they're reuniting on these ledges where they have returned to year on year on year, you know, and they have these most beautiful eyes that have, like, they look like they're wearing mascara. But the way you can tell they're different from gulls is that as they fly they have these straight wings. They're not sort of hooked wings, they fly with straight wings and they glide just so beautifully.
I've lived in this area all my life, and the Living Coast captures a lot of variety in a very short, small area. There's a lot to sort of love about the place. We've just finished creating a website that's got 10 different bike rides that help people to explore the Living Coast, and they kind of cover all the different aspects of it. Some are along the coast, some go up onto the hills, and they're pretty much cyclable for everybody all year round. That's the great thing about the Living Coast. The rides can be done by families, but also, you know, hardcore mountain bikers have got lots of things to excite them as well. It's about exercise, but it's also about appreciating what's around you. It only takes a slight turn of the head and suddenly you're looking out to sea and sort of way beyond, really. So yeah, there's always something new and different happening when you're out on a bike ride.
I love the fact that it smells so beautiful, just the fresh sea air. I love the myriad of different tiny, gorgeous little creatures that you can see. I mean, it's just spectacular, the two together, the land and the sea, meeting in this special place. It's a beautiful chalk reef that runs east from Brighton Marina all the way down to Newhaven, and we're very lucky as it has UNESCO World Biosphere Region status. The chalk reef is essentially dead bodies of sea creatures over millennia. On the chalk, loads of beautiful algae and seaweed grows and sticks itself to it, making this lovely, lovely, luscious environment for lots of marine creatures to live in. That's a job I really love, is bringing children down here to the reef. They don't realise that there's dolphins, they don't realise that there's huge skate rays, and so when you pick up an egg case, say a mermaid's purse from a skate, and you describe how big the creature is, plus its tail, and just that look of wonder on their faces, that's a far more special and connected experience for the children.
In South Australia I was born, heave away, haul away. In South Australia round Cape Horn, we're bound for South Australia. Sea shanties are work songs that were designed for each job on a ship. hauling the ropes, lowering the anchor to motivate the sailors, and you would have a shanty man who would be the leader, and this would keep the spirits up. With like the area around the Living Coast, people don't know about the smaller fishing heritage that Brighton has. There's a big section over on the marina over there where the fishing boats are, and in Shore and Port, everything comes in here and gets shipped up to London. And there's lots more that I'm learning about.
In the 1600s and 1700s, Brightonians, or Brighthelmstonians as we should say, because the town used to be called Brighthelmstone, they used mackerel as a currency. So imagine sort of handing over, rather than swiping your card today, you'd be picking up a mackerel and giving that to somebody. This was actually an official port, and over 2,000 people would go a year over to France from little boats that docked here. Not only are we almost smack middle of the Living Coast, but we're actually in the bit of Brighton that really, without this, there wouldn't be a Brighton and there wouldn't be the seaside resort we have today.
Getting in cold water is very good for stress management because you can't think of anything else except your breath when you are immersed in freezing cold water. You know, your problems at work or anything go out the window because you're just in the water. I'm a member of a lovely sea swimming group called the Salty Seabirds, a salted well-being sea swimming group. We get in the sea together, have fun, support each other, and it's a lovely community. It's something that has become very central in my life. There's this real affinity in Brighton with being in the sea or next to it or beside it. It all began in 1752 when Richard Russell, who was a local doctor, wrote a book on the relationship between seawater and health. Basically, the upshot from that book was that people began to come to the sea to improve their health, and he recommended getting in the sea. So really, you know, 300 years later almost, we're starting to come back to this notion of how good the sea is for us. I think the Living Coast is an amazing concept for the UNESCO Biosphere. There's few places where you have such beautiful countryside, the amazing cultural heritage city that is Brighton, and then the sea itself. So that sort of transect of country, city, sea is quite unique in terms of the quality of nature and built environment and natural environments that we have.
I'm inspired by the coast every day. I work down on the beach, so I stand right in front of it, 100 metres away from the sea, and I watch it changing and evolving. I watch the people come and go, I watch the wildlife come and go. I get a real sense of the seasonality. It's endlessly inspiring. The West Pier is so interesting to photograph because it's ever changing, like the sea and the light around it. You could see it day by day and you wouldn't notice that much changing, but if you look at it over the course of a decade, you notice all the little bits that are going bit by bit by bit. And if you watch it across the course of a day, you'll see the light changing as it sweeps across. You'll see showers, snow, wind, waves. You see the tide come and go. It's an ever-changing thing. We have starling murmurations in the winter. We have seals that come in here occasionally. They pop up onto the beach in the mornings and then run away as soon as you go anywhere near them. It's not necessarily the most obvious kind of wildlife haven at first, but again, if you spend time in the place and you keep your eye out, there's all sorts of interesting little bits to see. I don't think you could ever get bored of the sea, but the nice thing about being in Brighton and being on the coast here is that we have the downs and the sea either side. So we have a really perfect balance. If you ever feel like you've spent too much time by the sea, it's really easy to escape to the downs. So it's just a really, really nice balance, and both of those landscapes are equally accessible. It's a really nice place to be.
I find Shoreham, it's a good stretch of beach. Obviously with rock groins, the harbour walls, it makes for a lot of diverse spots to surf. It does get crowded from time to time, but yeah, everyone has a good laugh out in the water, which is kind of nice. What we do get is strong southwest storms that blow up the channel, and when they blow hard enough, it gets fun. You kind of make the most of what you get on the south coast, and the water's brown, but on those special days, it can get really good, and the water can be green, emerald. It can be really special out there.
It is nice to just to be out there on any day, but certainly there are days that stick in your mind. It's like nothing else. Surfing's one of those things that's, it's not just a sport, you know, it's not just this, it's a lifestyle, it's art. You know, early mornings, I love surfing early mornings, and it's quiet, sun's coming up. You know, we see some pretty good wildlife out here, and you see dolphins go past sometimes, not often, but sometimes. We all sort of chip in, we do some beach cleans, which I started 10 years ago on local beaches. You know, I was fed up with always treading over litter, and it's nice to just put something back. I wouldn't think I would volunteer my time and stuff cleaning beaches and helping wildlife for recognition or thanks. Just giving something back, it gives you a bit of a good feeling, and hopefully get people involved just by seeing you doing it. You know, people come over and ask, and what do you do? And you know, anyone that really would want to come here and get involved, then feel free, you know, ask, you know.
It's been a hell of a journey. We've gone all the way this morning from the heights of Castle Hill now to a much lower location here at Shoreham by Sea. The Living Coast is somewhere that certainly lives up to its name. It's living and breathing and changing. It's an exciting place to be. It's got wildlife, it's got humankind, it's got interactions, and it's got the most exciting people you could meet. So I'm going to sign off there and say thank you very much for watching this today, and we hope you too will explore the Living Coast.